Alright, y'all, story time. The Lies She Told. Miana Aki. Yours truly. Story is about a kid named Keisha and her little 5-year younger cousin named Marie. Keisha was a dark-skinned child. Maria was the light-skinned, pretty kid. Growing up, Keisha was the one that had to watch over Marie and make sure that Marie was clean, fed, woo, what a big sister cousin would do. Keisha was responsible for Marie. Everywhere Keisha went, Marie had to go with her, even though Marie had her own parents. And Keisha was living with grandparents, raised by grandparents, by the way. Okay, so, the lie she told. Here's lie number 1. When Keisha and Marie were kids, if Keisha didn't comply to what Marie wanted to do, Maria would lick her finger, wipe her eyes, make sure they were wet, nice and moist, run to their grandmother and tell the grandmother that Keisha has done something to her. Grandmother would believe her over Keisha no matter what Keisha said. Keisha got her ass tore down for this every time, because when Maria seen the first incident, it was an ongoing thing, and Keisha got the name of the liar and the troublemaker of the family, you know? So, Keisha and Maria get older, and everything that Keisha did, Maria would tell. And whatever Maria did, Keisha would not tell, because Keisha was the older cousin, and she wouldn't dare get her younger cousin in trouble and get those beatings that she used to get. The whole family, which is Keisha and Maria's aunties and uncles, Marie's mother and father and stepfathers, they all thought that Keisha was the bad seed, because everything that Marie did, Keisha got blamed for. And even if Marie didn't do it, Keisha was older. Maria should have listened. But what they don't know is Marie does not listen. Will say, "You're not my mama," and they won't believe you anyway. You know? Keisha finally gets her a boyfriend at the age of 19. Keisha is still living with grandparents, paying bills and helping out with food and all of that. Oh, right. But in between the childhood and the preteen, adulthood, 20s, or whatever, no one believed anything that Keisha said, because Keisha was always the liar. Keisha would tell them things about certain family members, and they would just be like, "Keisha lying, you know how Keisha is. She just be always want to start trouble, start some shit, you know." So Keisha decided she wanted to do her own thing. So she finally gets her a boyfriend and starts spending more time with this boyfriend. And one day, Marie called Keisha's phone, and Keisha was in the bathroom. Boyfriend answers Keisha's phone. Marie gets mad, tells the grandmother that Keisha is being held hostage, and boyfriend won't let Marie talk to Keisha. Grandmother comes out of nowhere, talking about calling the police and whatnot, and I better get in. Oh, and Keisha better get in that car. So Keisha got in the car. Maria chuckled and laughed, and Keisha just looked and shook her head. Keisha later got kicked out of the grandparents' house and moved out on her own. At this point, she has cut herself off. Since she is the problem, then maybe she shall relieve the family of the problem. Keisha continued to hang out, or let Marie hang out with her, and continue to hang out with her aunt, which is 11, 12 years older than her, which she believed was her best friend. All in all, they were watching Keisha for grandmother and telling grandmother everything Keisha did in her own household and outside of her household, but not inside of the grandmother's or anyone else's household. Keisha was a whore, so they said. Keisha was a trick, so they said. Keisha is a dope fiend, so they said, because Keisha decided to lose weight so she can feel better about herself and her appearance, since she was a dark-skinned, chubby niece. Okay. So, after a while, Keisha's mother passed away. She was living with her at the time. Keisha was devastated because she hadn't had the best relationship with her biological mother. She then had no choice, because she had nowhere to go, move in with her grandparents again. But guess who was also living with the grandparents? Marie. Oh, they were, in Keisha's mind, they were just one with each other. Keisha loved her like that was her child, and she showed her everything in life and loved her no matter what happened, and forgave and forgave and forgave, not knowing all the lies that had been told about her by Marie and the mother of Marie, which we will not name. I don't even feel like making up a name, because it's going to get too real, because it's real. It's real. Anyway, Keisha's devastated, and you know, it was a trying time for Keisha. And one day, Keisha thought about her childhood, because she was grieving and she was in a dark place. They kept asking Keisha what was wrong with her. And I know Keisha knows something got instigated, but she didn't want to say nothing. But she did. Keisha got kicked out. So did Marie, but you know, that's how it go. Push come to shove, Keisha has gotten herself together. This is years later. Keisha has gotten herself together, living a town or few away from where she grew up. Got married, living her own life. No one in Keisha's family attended Keisha's wedding because Keisha decided to marry a woman. Keisha was devastated when it was time to take pictures, and the photographer was like, "Where's Keisha's family?" So she could take her photo pictures. And you know what Keisha said? Keisha said she didn't have family, even though Keisha begged her family to come. Begged, pleaded, and cried, and a couple of promises, and then they just didn't show up. No answer back, of phone calls or texts or messages on Facebook. Keisha has always had that line of communication open at this point of the wedding. Keisha forgave that and still welcomed family to every function all the time. A few came to one of Keisha's birthday parties and that was it. Well, years later, the grandfather, the only father that Keisha knew, was passing away. This is when family calls Keisha. It's like, well, after 10 years of you not being around, now we want you around, Keisha. Dad's dying, Keisha. And Keisha comes running. Keisha comes running. She's the strong one. Didn't drop tears. Didn't want to, wanted to console everyone because Keisha has already lost one of her parents. And her great-grandparent, her best friend that they didn't even include in the obituary, by the way. But Keisha forgave and still. Then, the woman that raised Keisha, the grandmother, months later, got diagnosed with cancer and was dying in months. Keisha had a very important role in her job at the time and took 2 weeks off to spend time with her grandmother and to get their relationship in order before anything else happens and there's time lost. Well, Keisha's time with her grandmother was taken up by her cousin Maria. It's Keisha's fault, she feels, because she could have said no, but she missed her family because, she hadn't seen her spend time with them in years since she married her wife. Well, one night she decided she wants to turn up after, I don't even want to include that. She decides she wants to turn up with her cousin Maria and friend and fiance. And there was an argument ensued. And Keisha was on psychedelics. And Keisha has now been in tune with the spirits. Keisha's spirit guide told her to be quiet and let this Maria character show her true self. So this Marie character blamed Keisha for her downfall of her life. Said that it was her fault because Keisha left and lived her own life and blamed Keisha for everything and told Keisha that she didn't care about what happened to Keisha and why the things happened the way they did. And that Keisha, she didn't give a F about Keisha or what happened to Keisha or anything because Keisha was supposed to be there for her. Always. No matter what. Even though Keisha was hurting and felt alone every time she was around her family because they thought the worst of her in every way possible and there was nothing that Keisha could do to change their minds. So Keisha, with her being not feeling accepted, Keisha left. Now, with this argument that ensued with Keisha and Maria, it hurt Keisha to her core. It broke Keisha. And Keisha ended her 2 weeks with her dying grandmother. Before she left, Maria came and told their grandmother that Keisha came to confront her about her childhood. Keisha came to spend her money when Keisha wanted to cook for the family and show them how she eats. She then said that Keisha did not care that her grandmother was dying because Keisha did not cry about the diagnosis. Unbeknownst to Maria, Keisha made a promise to the grandmother that she would not cry in front of her. She would cry away, and when she got home to her wife. But Keisha was the one who got to be the bad guy, and Keisha was broken because Keisha knows that everyone does not believe her. No one believes nothing that Keisha says. So Keisha left, and Keisha never came back. And Keisha's grandmother died, and Keisha did not attend her grandmother's funeral. Keisha was hurt, and she did not want to do or deal with that hurt. She did not want to see her grandmother in that casket with unresolved issues. So, that's the end of story time. What do y'all think? Leave a comment, a review, like, share, subscribe, and thank you once again for Lies She Told.